Hi, it's Charmaine Hammond. So as you go back to your organizations, there's going to be a lot to do, a lot of questions. And you know, there might be questions as a social profit leader that you can't answer, that you don't have the answers to, and that's okay. One of the things that I really think is important in leadership is that leaders don't have to have all the answers, they don't have to have all the solutions, and they don't have to be perfect. And this is going to be a time when you and your team are learning together. One of the things that will really help you and your team get on track and sort out all the things that you need to sort out when you re-enter Fort McMurray and get your organization operational again, even if it's at a smaller capacity, is communication is going to be more important now than ever. Here's what happens with communication, and I've been working in the field of communication for more than 25 years. When there is not information, so in the absence of information, people build assumptions. And assumptions are going to be really dangerous for teams because when people don't have the answers, they make it up. You've seen it in your workplace. What we really want to do as leaders is make sure that we are communicating often. And there's actually a process that I use called cascading communication. What that means is that you share the same information out in different ways, staggered at different times and through different platforms. So let's give an example. You might have some information coming to your team about funding or a change in service delivery or a change in your policies or your priorities for the organization. So one way you might share that is individually in supervision or touch base meetings with your staff. Now, we want to make sure that staff retain the message, so you might also have that same communication or a variation of it at a staff meeting where everybody's present. But you might have people that aren't there and they miss the communication, and we don't want them to form rumors or be misunderstood. So then what we do is we follow it up with an email, and then we might revisit it again at another staff meeting. So the importance of cascading communication is that people hear the same message a few different ways, and it helps lock in the learning. The other reason that communication is going to be so important for your teams when you return back to the community and you start your service delivery is that they're going to be bombarded with information and requests, and I think in many ways there's a lot we can't even anticipate around what the impacts will be in service delivery. The more you communicate with your staff, the better the opportunity to help your organization stay resilient. I want to share an example of someone I have deep respect for, and that's Chief Darby Allen in Fort McMurray. He's an amazing example of communication. Every night, he would create a short video to communicate out to the masses, just an update about the fire in Fort McMurray. One of the things that I loved about his messages is that sometimes he didn't have any significant news because it was status quo in terms of the situation, and yet he still communicated that. See, what happens is people want information, and sometimes the information is simply nothing has changed. We are where we are and things are the same. So please know that sometimes what you're communicating is just that there is no change or you don't have any news. But if you communicate that, people aren't going to make assumptions. The other reason communication is so important for all of you is to recognize that old issues, old conflicts might surface. See, when we experience trauma, stress, and chaos in our life, disaster, it brings up old and unresolved issues. And so as leaders, you want to be prepared for that. The best thing you can do is have those conversations early on. Don't let things linger. Don't let things fester, and be available as a support for people. Now more than ever, that open door policy is going to be important to building your team's resilience and being resilient yourself as a leader. So next time we'll talk more about how to bounce forward.